Today we are going to tell the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet using rocks and pebbles. Okay, he didn't use rocks and pebbles to wash the disciples' feet. We are going to tell the story using our own rocks and pebbles, and I got some big ones today. So, do you remember this story? This is at the Last Supper. This would be just a few days before Jesus rises from the tomb. And we're doing this story where Jesus washes the feet of his disciples. And this comes from the book He is Risen. Rocks tell the story of Easter. Okay, so first I'm going to show you a really quick demo, just a 1 minute of me putting this together with the rocks I found. And then we're going to do a tutorial where you'll use your own rocks to do this yourself. And you can do this any way you want. I was really lucky to get to go to this old river up in Montana where they had these big chunky rocks. And usually I just have to use little rocks. But because I found these big ones and they were different shapes and sizes, I was able to really make this picture really neat. But every picture looks different. So yours won't look like mine, but it will still tell the story. And that's what matters, is that these rocks want to testify of Jesus. He made them. And so of course they would want to, but they need our help to move them around and put them in place. So let's watch this quick 1 minute demo and then hang tight and then we'll get to the tutorial. Well, we're going to create that in rocks, and I'd love for you to do it too. I'll show you how I did it, and you can do it your own way. Actually, I got the inspiration to do this scene from a 10-year-old boy named Ben, who sent me a picture of the Last Supper and Jesus washing the feet of the disciples, and I thought it was so brilliant. That's the neat thing about rocks, is that no two rock art pieces are the same. So when I went out to try it, mine looked completely different. And when you try it, when you go outside and find some rocks and put them together, they will look completely different too. Ben used little tiny pebbles, but I was lucky and I got to go to a mountain lake in Idaho up by Sandpoint, and they had these beautiful large rocks. These are big rocks and really interesting shapes. I mean, whenever I see like a long, tall, skinny one or an interesting shape, then I always collect it because I know I'll find a use for it when it's time to make something. So we're going to make this together. I'll show you what I'm doing. And I also want, have you seen this stuff? This is called tack. And tack is just this, it's kind of like silly putty in a way, but what people use it for is to put things together, to make two things stick together. So Blue, my cute little puppy dog, is stepping on the table. Hi Blue, he just wants some love. Aren't we all like that? We just want some love. Hi sweet boy, he's a sweet boy. Do you mind getting on the ground? Okay, well, while we have Blue in hand, I wanted to show you the tack. So the tack is really neat stuff because you can put a little bit, I just rip off a little piece and then make a little ball, and then I put that on the rock. So like here's a rock, I'll just put it on the rock like that, and then I'll squish it onto the board or the paper, whatever I'm using to put the rocks on. And then it kind of holds it there, and it does a pretty good job. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did mine, but you'll never find any two rocks the same, so it makes every picture different, which is really part of the fun of doing rock art, is that you're organizing shapes instead of making them. Like, I don't have the talent for drawing pictures because I have to create the shapes, but I do have the talent for finding shapes in nature and then putting those together. So let's do that. And then if you want to put them in a frame and put them up on the wall, you can do that too. But for now, let's just make the art. Okay. Okay, we're going to do the washing of the feet that Jesus did at the Last Supper. And I just wanted to show you some of the rocks before we get started. When I go hiking and I'm outside, whenever I see a long, skinny rock, I keep it. And especially if it's got any kind of markings on it or texture, it's always so interesting to do that. You'll also see in some cases I've got a dark mark. I use sticky putty. This stuff, it's called tack, and it's a reusable adhesive. And so I can just ball it up and stick it on here and then stick it on a board and it will stay with the sticky putty on it. So, but it leaves a residue, a little, what is that? It leaves a little oil stain behind. So that's okay if it's on the back side, but sometimes it gets on the front, but that's what that is. So we have long skinny rocks, which are great. And then if the rocks have a curve to them, that's even better, because natural things, people and plants and animals, have curves and have weird little textures and indents. So it's just wonderful when you find an imperfect rock. It's perfect, just like people. When we're imperfect, we're different and unique, and that's all great. Here's a fun round rock. I love this rock because it's got imperfections, and the more imperfect they are, the better. It's very round, so you could say it's perfectly round almost. That's kind of a problem because there's not a lot of things in real life that are perfectly round unless they're manufactured or created. So if you're making a car or a bicycle, that's fantastic. But we're making people. So that's interesting. Here's a long skinny rock. Of course, I collected it because as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, I want to keep that. Had no idea what this would be. And it does look rather broken, doesn't it? And I usually like to get rocks that have been tumbled and are softer on the edges, but this was just so unique, I had to keep it. Didn't know why at the time. Another tall skinny with a curve. This one's really long and skinny. Love that. Makes a nice foundation that you can put somebody on, is what I was thinking at the time, but we used it for something else. And this, how unusual is this one? Had no idea. Is that like a bird pecking? No idea what that was, but when they're unusual, I keep them. And square rocks are not, I only use them for like tables and desks and chairs, and I don't know, I haven't found a lot of uses for square yet. But triangular rocks, I know it's not a perfect triangle, but you can kind of see 3 points, 1, 2, 3. Keep the triangles, they're infinitely useful. They're especially great as angel wings. So to make an angel, so easy. You just get a tall skinny rock, long skinny, and you stick that on there and give them a head, and you got an angel. Isn't that the cutest angel? They're so easy to make. 3 rocks, a triangle, a tall one, a circle. Easy. And then if you were going to get really creative, you could put a little foot on